Bhavana for me?
Okay, it's great to see all of you, to be around people with so much energy and vitality. It was a very good icebreaker game. So they asked me to come down and to just speak a little about something that actually I've been thinking a lot about recently, and I think could give all of you guys in this room a real head start in life, okay? So what we're going to discuss, these things that we're going to discuss this evening, they can help you in your friendships, they can help you in your relationships, and if you catch the points that we're going to share today, they can help you to become incredibly successful in your own life. Does that make sense? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it the kind of thing that you'd be interested in learning about? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, good stuff. Another benefit of some of the things we're going to discuss today is it can help you to become much less stressed in life, because it can give you some real deep insights into who you are, who other people are, and how the two of you can interact nicely. Okay, so I'll just add something. I was in negotiations. We do these corporate presentations, corporate seminars. So I was in negotiation this week with Shell, you know, the oil company. So we're doing something at their headquarters in Waterloo on October the 30th. And so the whole subject is around networking, relationships, how they interact. Because the whole idea is that the most successful people in the world, they all understand how to interact with other people. They understand in many ways some really important things about themselves. Okay, and this is one of the key things we want to bring out in the session today. I did actually say to the guys, but it was my fault, I said it late. I said that if we can have pens and paper, then people can make notes, right? But if you haven't got pens and paper, no problem. If at any point you want to jot things down on your mobile phone, you know, take some notes down, whatever, on your Evernote or whatever, it's all good. Okay, and we hope, see, I'll say this one, I'll be honest with you, when I first came, I thought, wow, you know, the age range is very kind of different and so on and so forth. But I think that you guys will really appreciate some of the things we're going to discuss today, right? I know you're sharp, you're dynamic, you're intelligent. So I'm speaking to you as one adult to another group of young adults, okay? So even though some of the things I'm talking about may seem like they're a bit high level, again, you have the intelligence to grasp it now, and if you grab these points now, it can change your whole life. I know it's like a big claim, but I'm just being really honest with you. If you grab the points we're going to talk about now, it can change your whole life. You can practically, from this day on, maneuver around a whole range of different challenges, problems and issues that practically 99% of the people your age would have to deal with because they'd have no clue how to get around it. Does that sound like something you'd like to hear about? Yeah. Okay. So before we do that, we're going to show you a little video, just something fun. Actually, before we show the video, I'm going to make one point very quickly. And that is, come on, let's do notes here. The point that I want to make to begin with is that there are so many trends that you see in society now, right? Is that true or false? Right? So many trends just means that different styles, different ways of behaving, different patterns. I remember when I was at secondary school, that's when people started wearing the trousers, you know, low down, you know, with the like Calvin Klein thing showing on the side, something like that. So we thought we were really cool at the time because it was a new thing. And then obviously there's so many other trends that go on, right? So trends can be anything from the kind of technology people use, like you know, their Apple iPad or the iPhone, etc. A trend can be a certain kind of phrase that people use, certain ways, certain words that people use. It can be anything, right? We're all affected by trends, and one of the things we're going to look at is how we can make or set powerful trends in the world, okay? Again, I'm really going to say this, and I'm saying this from the heart, right? What we're going to share with you, if you take this on board properly, it can change your entire life, right? This is something that I've learned practically just over the last few years, but I guarantee you, if you grab it, it will give you a head start by practically maybe 10, 20 years ahead of everyone else, right? So we're going to start with a little video, then I'm going to explain what the video means, and then we're going to go from there. I'm going to try not to bore you, right? And then try and keep it interactive and try and keep it relevant for your life, your success, and how it intimately connects with Krishna consciousness, God consciousness, and spirituality. Is that cool? Okay, let's go. Do you have the video? Okay, it's interesting. Facebook is one of the biggest trends that we see in modern society. And so many people are following it, right? And then you also have things like Twitter, you know, so many other places. And so we're all affected by trends, right? It was a funny video, right? So you have this idea that people are following, people are leading, people are doing different things, everyone's got their status update, right? What's going on with their life, in their lives, sorry, who's doing what with whom.
90% of the time rubbish.
Sorry?
90% of the time rubbish.
Sorry?
90% of the time.
Yeah,
rubbish.
it's true. Actually, you know, it's worse than that. Today I was actually in there's a training seminar, and the person was saying that now many people engage in what's called identity theft, right? So what they can do is they can go onto someone else's Facebook, copy the picture, and then make their own Facebook account and say that they're that person, right? So they can actually do all kinds of things or say all kinds of things which have absolutely nothing, right? I repeat, absolutely nothing to do with reality. Now, the reason why I showed you this is because in Krishna consciousness, one of the main benefits is that you can really get to know who you are, okay? Not just who your mum and dad want you to be, right? Raise your hand if you've ever known someone, if you have a friend who's studying something because their parents told them they had to study that. Anyone? Yeah. Why am I not surprised? So many people put their hands up, right? How many people do you think on this planet really understand themselves? Who reckons, let's say, 100% of the people on the planet really know themselves? Raise your hand. Okay, 90% of the people. Anyone think that 90% of the people on this planet right now really know themselves? 80%, 70%, 60%, 50%? Interesting. 40, 30, 20. Okay, a few hands have gone up at 20. And when I say a few hands, I mean 4. 10%. Okay, interesting. 5%. Okay. Now that's interesting, isn't it? According to all of us in this room, most of us say or agree that only 10% of the people on this planet, not just young people. We said people, that means young, old, makes no difference. We said only 10% or less know themselves. What we want to do today is give you some keys to really know yourself. Anyone heard of Warren Buffett? Yeah, a few people, raise your hand if you heard of Warren Buffett. Anyone heard of Jay-Z? Okay, more people. I was watching a video online. It was Jay-Z and Warren Buffett. They were being interviewed about their life and how they became successful. Oh, just as an aside, is anyone here interested in being successful? Yeah? Anyone maybe slightly interested? You know, some people checking out? Okay, good. I think we're all on the same page, and that's good. In this interview, they were being interviewed by Forbes. Forbes is a company that deal with, like, you know, millionaires, billionaires, business people, and Warren Buffett was saying that he knew when he was very young what he wanted to do in his career, right? He said he worked out when he was 7 that he wanted to be in investing. He's one of the richest people in the world. And he said that because he worked out what he wanted to do at 7, he started looking into that at the age of 7. He said it gave him a 15-year head start ahead of everyone else in his peer group. Right? Interesting, isn't it? Right? Now, what's really interesting is that principle, right? That idea or that concept of starting young, that concept is actually from Scripture. Did you know that? Did anyone ever hear that? Did anyone ever tell you that before? That the concept of understanding who you are and what kind of personality you have at a very young age. Did you ever hear that that was actually in Scriptures? Raise your hand if you heard that. Okay, only a handful. Okay, that's interesting. So then many of you we're in for a very interesting evening. Okay? So before I suggested it, but I'll suggest it again. I'm not really interested in giving you a class or lecture. It's not going to be like that. I'm not really interested in giving you information either. My whole thing is, I'm all about transformation. Right? I'm really interested in giving or sharing some things that are going to make a real and powerful difference to your life from this day onwards. Right? I'm really serious about that. I want to give you some gems, some real secrets that can make you much more successful from this day onwards. Now you're going to have to help me because I need to know how interested that you are in hearing that information, okay? So if you're interested, I want to hear you say, Harry Bo.
Harry Bo!
Okay, I reckon that was about 40% on the scale, okay? Let's start again, right? Because if it doesn't go above 50, we can pack up early. Okay, so let's start again. If you're interested in understanding these secrets that can make you much more successful, give you about, I'd say, you know, conservative, about a 30-year head start on most people that you know, right? Let me hear you say, Harry Bo!
Harry Bo!
Okay, now we're talking. Okay, that's about 75%. Okay, good. Hopefully by the end of the evening it'll be 100%. Okay. So I have a presentation. Is it ready? Okay. Let me see what we can do here. I have a presentation I wanted to go through with you. It's actually on the Prezi. If we can't load it up, then I'll just talk through the points I wanted to share, because I know what I wanted to say. But actually, before we do that, I'm going to get you guys to do a little bit of an interactive exercise, okay? So everyone stands up. Okay. Now, when I say go, what I want you to do is just move around the room in your area. Okay, so it goes this area, basically. The guy's this area. Move around the room in your area. And then when I say stop, then you're going to speak to the person who's nearest you. And you're going to share something. I'll tell you to share once you stop, okay? Okay. But while you're moving, you're going to say, because you're going to mingle and to move and to be with someone that you've not necessarily known before, okay? So while you're moving, you can say mingle, 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 until I say stop. Is that cool? Okay. Okay. So after 3, you can start moving and mingling. And at some point in the evening, switch you over with different people for different exercises. We'll see how we do in order to keep the energy going. Can everyone see the screen? You can move forward actually. Everyone moves forward so everyone can see. And like I said before, you know, to be honest, this isn't just it's not like a normal program. We want you to take something away from the session today, okay? So as I'm speaking, as we're sharing and discussing different things, think about anything that you can take away that's going to make a difference for you in your life, your success, and especially we're interested in your spiritual success, okay? So this presentation was called Don't Imitate, Innovate, okay? AKA the secrets of success for the individual, okay? That's what we're talking about today. How you as an individual can be successful in your whole life, but specifically, especially emphasizing the spiritual aspect, which means our relationship with the Supreme Person, Krishna. Okay, so our first slide, it's all about the idea, it's all about innovating, okay? And we're going to talk a little bit about how real creativity works, okay? And I'll even give you some practical reasons why it's useful to be creative. Actually, does anyone admire people like Steve Jobs or other successful people? Yeah, right? We're going to show you a key principle that can make anyone, if they understand it properly, an entrepreneur, right? That means someone who's successful, who can start something new and make it grow, okay? So bear up. First, we're going to speak about this idea of the follower, right? So in our modern society right now, we have so many people who follow the trends, right? Isn't it? Right? You see that in so many different areas of life. Let's start with a discussion on this. Why do you think so many of us are inclined to just follow? Right? Whether it's a trend, it's a particular fashion, a particular kind of technology. Why? Why do people follow? Yes?
To feel like you're a part of something.
Okay, that's good. So one way of following, or one reason, is we want to feel a sense of belonging. Right? We want to feel that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. Okay, someone else. Yes.
It's easier.
Okay, what do you mean by easier?
Starting something by yourself is always going to be daunting. Like if you go to a school, it's always easier to fit in with a group rather than just doing your own thing.
Okay, so it's easier, it's like the easy option. Okay, so a sense of belonging is easier to follow. Yes.
Social desirability.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
You want to fit in, you want to be seen as like everyone else, and you don't want to see as an outsider. You want to fit in with social norms.
Okay, you want to fit with social norms. Okay, let me ask you a question on this point. We're going to carry on because I think it's a good point. Do you think, would you say that Steve Jobs is your average guy?
No.
Okay. Would you say that Jay-Z is your average guy?
No.
What about, let's see, Katy Perry?
No.
Russell Brand? Okay, that was a bad choice. That was a bad choice. I saw him recently, by the way. I saw him recently about a month ago. There was a program in central London, and there was a kirtan event. So he was there with his new girlfriend. Right? Enough said. Okay. So why else do we follow trends? Someone else? Any other reasons? Yes.
Confidence.
Okay. What do you mean by confidence?
You feel like you're like everyone else, so you don't have to, I don't know, like, you just fit in.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So it's like, you know, the group pack. Yeah. So because we're together as part of a bigger group, we feel a sense of confidence because we're a collective. We've got support. Is that okay? Is that what you mean? Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I think, in fact, in reality, you don't really feel confident because some people they will follow other people just to think that they look good. They think they'll feel confident, but in reality, they don't really confident.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So what you're saying is it can work both ways. It's just by being in the group doesn't automatically mean the person's confident. True?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
You know what you actually want to do, you know what I mean? See
Okay.
what else someone else is doing and then follow that.
Okay. Someone else. Why do we have a tendency, or why do some people, because it may not be speaking about you in particular, right? But why do some people tend to like to follow a group, a trend, something? Any other answers to that?
It can be inspiration.
Okay. Someone else, only because there's two more people, and then we'll carry on. Yes.
Yeah, often celebrities endorse the trend, and they're the embodiment of social success.
Okay. Celebrities start a trend, and because they're the embodiment of social success, we want to follow them. Interesting. Someone at the back.
It's like nature versus nurture. You want to do something, but you're nurtured into doing something else because of, as Shiv says, society's norms and social media, everything that you see around you. It's so much easier to go with what they're doing rather than doing something else.
Okay. Is it possible that any of you guys in this room, even now or in the future, could be people who are setting the trends? Does it sound like something that would be more powerful than just following? Yes or no? Yeah. And if we want to be successful, even materially, the people who are most materially successful, are they followers or are they leaders? Just something to put into the back of your mind right now. Right? The people who are considered, I'm just talking materially now, or to speak of spiritually, they're generally leaders as opposed to followers. So, this idea of being a follower is there, and we all follow in different ways. But what we're trying to suggest to you is that you have the power, if you want to be a leader. And if you're going to follow, you should choose who you're going to follow carefully. And choose what you follow, right? Because there is such a thing as positive peer pressure, and there's also negative peer pressure. Does that make sense? What would be an example of positive peer pressure? Anyone? What's positive peer pressure?
See all your friends go to university.
Okay, that's a good example. So all your friends are going to higher education, and you want to kind of move forward in life, so you're also trying to move into higher education because they're going. What's an example of negative peer pressure?
And one is not responsibility for their own actions.
Okay.
And whoever they follow it, they end up blaming them for everything was wrong.
Yeah. But give me an example. What's an example? Give me like a tangible, real-life example of negative peer pressure. Someone. Yes.
Traveling.
Sorry?
Traveling, like all my mates go, so I might as well go.
Okay, it could be, okay, yes, I can see where you're coming from, yes.
Taking drugs.
Taking drugs, that's a very good example. So, I know one guy from a very wealthy background, and his mum was telling me that his friends are always taking drugs. And I mean, because when I say wealthy, I mean, I'm talking multi-millionaires. So the kind of people they hang around with are also multi-millionaires. So when they're taking drugs, do you think they're taking just like low-class drugs? No. It's like, I mean, we're talking really high-class, like grade A drugs. Right? And think about where they're going to go in future, what that trend's going to create. Okay, so we're all following. We now need to look at what we're following and who we are. Yeah? So first of all, I put this slide down, but I thought, to be honest, these guys have heard that stuff before, right? Who's heard that idea that we're not the body, we're the soul? Anyone? Okay. So that's a standard thing in KC, right? And it's a big thing. It's a big thing. Because that's where we start. That's the ultimate beginning point in terms of our knowledge that we're not the body, we're the soul. Has anyone here ever been regressed into a previous life? Okay, 1, 2, okay, 3, 4, I'll add 2, right? So I remember someone one person I know regressed me. I'll just share with you what happened. So one of my friends has got this special kind of regression table, and he activates different chakras and so on. And when I went to see him, because he's a healer, I had some issues with my throat. I'd always get colds and stuff, and I was wondering why. And so he took me back into a previous life, and in the previous life I was a Christian priest, right? And I saw myself in the past life regression. I was wearing this long black kind of Christian priest outfit with the white collar, right? And I was about to be killed. Right? So what I saw was I was having my head put in like you have those old kind of like guillotine things where they put your head into the guillotine, right? So I was being chained to the guillotine, and then the thing went down. Right? And the reason why I was being killed, what I saw in that past life, is because there was a witch hunt at the time, and the whole thing was they were accusing certain women of being witches. And the idea was that if you, the way that they would test if you were a witch, some of you probably know this, is they try and drown you, right? If they couldn't drown you, you're a witch, right? If they drowned you, then you weren't a witch. You can't win, you understand what I'm trying to say, catch-22. That's what I actually saw. Right? So we begin at that point, that the soul has taken different types of birth in different bodies. I was in a white body. Right? White European body in that past life regression. Right? Another time I was regressed, I saw myself in an Indian body. Right? So you can take birth in different times, different places, different circumstances. Right? Now to some people that's kind of really revolutionary. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not even going to go into that so much in this presentation. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says this point. Dehinos minyata dehi kumranyuvanam jara tata dehantara prapti dira tatra nanuyate. He says, and that's the first point. That's the first point in our basic main scripture Bhagavad Gita, that you're not the body. Right? Now, even though you're not the body, you have a body, isn't it? Right? Every one of us in this room, you have a particular type of body. Right? So the question is, even though we're not the body, how do we use the kind of body that we have to allow us to move through life so we can be successful? That's what we're going to talk about. Has anyone ever told you about that? Have you ever heard about how you can use your body to move forward in life, in your material life and your spiritual life? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Who says yes? Okay, 1 or 2. Who says no? So we're going to go into that. Hopefully, even the people who've heard something before can learn more. Okay, so who are you? Right? Now this is a key point. This is the first key point that we want to share. And what we're going to do is get you to discuss something in your pairs, right? Because you're all sitting with the people that you paired up with. So you have a mind. Okay, it's confirmation. You have a body. You have an intelligence. And you have values, okay? The first one we're going to discuss is your mind, okay? You're going to discuss in your pairs something about your mind. Let me explain what I mean by that. In the Vedas, it says the mind does three things: thinking, feeling, and also willing. That means making decisions, okay? So, what we want you to discuss with your friend, and you may have never thought about this before, is exactly what type of mind do you have? Okay? And I'll explain what I mean by that. Are you very stubborn, for example? Right? So someone's got like a very fixed mind. It doesn't matter what anyone says. If you say you're going to do something, damn it, you're going to do it. Right? Do you have that kind of mind? Are you very sensitive? Do you have a very sensitive mind? You know, you like things to be calm, peaceful, quiet. You don't like conflict. Do you have a mind which is very focused? Right? You always just like one-pointed. You're just looking at one thing and you can focus on one thing for hours. Right? Do you have a kind of mind which loves variety? You have to be doing many different things at the same time. Right? So the first thing is, what kind of mind do you have? Okay. Second thing you're going to discuss is what kind of body do you have? Right? Now, the first part of that is hopefully you should know whether you're male or female by now. Right? I'm assuming everyone's worked that out. Right? Second, is it a strong body, a big body, small body, powerful body, muscly body? What kind of body do you have? Is it the kind of body that's restless? I mean, are you in the room now thinking, I need to get up and move? I can't sit here, listen to this guy speak for any longer. I need to kind of move, get some action, get something going. What kind of body do you have? And the last thing, what kind of intelligence do you have? Average intelligence? Are you like a genius? Or is it slightly on the lower scale of the spectrum, right? Like that, okay? So, 1 minute, discuss with your partner what kind of mind, body, and intelligence you have. Go. Really maximize your potential. The first thing you need to do is understand who you are. Right? The most successful people in life are usually the people who, having understood who they are, they work in such a way that fits their nature. Does that make, and I'll explain what I mean by that. See, basically it's like this. Let's say Oprah Winfrey, right? Oprah Winfrey is one of the most successful women in the world. According to Forbes magazine, she's worth like approximately $3 billion, right? Do you think she would have been a successful banker? Anyone? Does she strike you as being someone who would have been a successful banker? Yes or no? No. Right? Maybe a successful racing car driver? No. Right? But what she does, as a chat show host, has made her one of the most successful women in the world, materially speaking at least. Right? In the Vedic tradition, we're taking things from the scriptures, from the Vedas especially, the word teachers or leaders would observe the person and would help the person to work out what kind of personality they had. You know that? And by helping them to work out what kind of personality they had, they'd help them to work out what kind of work, right, they could do, which would be fitting their nature. For example, is there anyone here who loves to manage and to control and to lead? Raise your hands. Don't be shy about it. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, we've got quite a few manageresses, I should say, in the audience. Okay. Is there anyone here who loves to teach and to learn? Raise your hands. Okay, a few people. Is there anyone here, and don't be shy about it, let's be honest. Is there anyone here who loves money? Okay. See, I'll tell you honestly, I appreciate that. You know why? Because it's real. Right? Sometimes when you're in spiritual places, you ask people, anyone love money? And they're like, no, no, no. and you can see the bills coming out of the pockets. Yeah, that's actually interesting, right? So there are different natures. It's so important if you know who you are. The first key point that the Vedas talk about is when you try and go for your careers and your activities, find something that fits. Right? If you've got strong leadership and management ability, don't go into something that doesn't give you that opportunity, because you'll be working against your nature. And when you work against your nature, that's when you become stressed, and that's when it becomes harder to be successful, right? Think about it. You know, they asked one musician, how is it you became so successful? What's your tips on being a great musician? I think it was one rock band, one famous rock band. And the lead singer said that you must love what you're doing. Does that make sense? He said you should really love what you're doing. Because if you love what you're doing, it's not work anymore. Think about it, right? If you really love what you're doing, it's not work anymore, except you're getting paid for it. Right? Is that not a good situation to be in? You're working in something that works in line with your own personality. You're naturally good at it, so even though it's a job, because you're good at it, you're more likely to progress, more likely to get promoted, more likely to do it well. It won't even seem like work. Powerful, right? So if you know who you are, then you can start to make these kinds of choices. Second point, in the scriptures, there's a term that's used which is called swajati. Swajati means like-minded, right? Have you ever had a friend who betrayed you? Raise your hands. Right? Have you ever had a friend who stabbed you in the back? Straight, honestly speaking, raise your hand. Okay, right? And do you have someone in your friendship circle who, to be honest, you ain't feeling that person, you don't even like that person? Raise your hand. Okay, hopefully they're not in the room. That could get nasty. Okay. Now, again, the Vedas, we said at the beginning, this kind of information will help you in so many areas. According to the Vedic teachings, actually, you're meant to find someone who you can relate to. Right? On the last slide, we said the mind, intelligence, body, and what was the last thing on the list? Values, right? What are values? What do values mean? What does it mean? Any idea?
Values of human in terms of honesty, determination.
Values means what's important to you, right? Like if I asked you what's important to you, someone may say ambition, someone else may say loyalty, someone else may say honesty, someone else may say like affection, whatever it is. So you want people who've got similar values. Because by similar values, you can relate, right? Even to the point that when you get married, or start a partnership, a relationship, you're looking for someone who also you can relate to, right? The whole idea that just because they look good and you look good, and you're going to get together and it's nice in the beginning, that's a recipe for divorce. So if you want relationships at work, again, according to the Vedas, that principle of compatibility is there. The term that's used is swajati, right? So you're looking for someone who has similar values and who complements you. That doesn't mean they have to be the same as you, but they should complement you. Does that make sense? Right? So I'm only putting that in your mind now. It's not like you go running off into a relationship. Yeah, BBD said to Harrow Jammin that we should get together. Honey, I'm being spiritual now. Come on. Not like that, right? But it's something to think about when you are moving forward and making that decision. If you choose something that's in line with your nature, you're about to become much more successful with less effort, right? I'm telling you honestly. I can't even hide it. If you think about it, you know people, right? Because you came up with some really interesting points, which I think are really powerful. One of the reasons why I like these kinds of presentations is so people can discuss and share ideas, right? And many of the things that you guys may bring today in your discussion may be the things that people take up in future and really kind of help society to see what religion or spirituality is in a proper sense. And actually, I'll address at the end one point that was brought up independently about the difference between our opinions and reality. Because that's one of the key things that I think is very important to understand in terms of this Krishna conscious understanding. So I'll come back to that towards the end. But I'm going to go around and very briefly, I'd like each group to share with you two things. One thing is why you think people, the average person, has a kind of negative preconception about religion in this society. And the second is one way in which people can be helped to see spirituality, God consciousness or religion in a more positive light. Okay, so just two things. And when we come to your group, if you have a group before you said something that you're going to say, and if you have a new idea that hasn't been heard before, share that. If not, you can repeat. Is that okay? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll go back and forth. Let's start on this side. Who'd like to share your group?
We were just looking at people think negative about religion because they see it as relationship.
Okay.
It's not being used in success. For example, science and religion are two contrasting sides, and science is proving what it is. So let's give religion a bad light.
Okay.
So,
And what's the positive thing that could be done to help people to see more positive?
to show the unity of man. There's a lot of some like people one massive group and there's a lot of like friendships, but at the same time,
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. Let's go to this group.
So the negative point we had is that there's no physical proof, I'll say, that people can perceive the physical thing. And the positive we were saying is that you can see the people who are genuinely following their particular religion or spiritual process, and if they follow it genuinely and properly and follow the proper process, then they actually become very amazing people and enhance their lives and their lives.
Okay, so would your solution be to promote more of the positive role models? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Good. Let's have this group here.
Okay, so our negative is that people that are religious, people, like they have this stereotypical idea that people, those religious people will pull themselves away from everything else, so they won't go out, they won't hang out with their mates or anything like that. And we thought we could rebrand it by just making people understand that religion is just the idea of love of God. You know, there's nothing that you don't have to do anything to love God. It's not, you know.
Okay. So you emphasize the essence of religion, which means to love God. Okay, that's good. That's good. This group.
Well, like one negative thing that we thought like why people see religion as being like sad is I think people like in modern day have like very little spare time. So I think people want to like do what they want in their spare time. I think the kind of rules and regulation, like the stereotypical ones, kind of conflict with that. So it's kind of like people have this free time apart from work, but they can't use it to what they want. So I think that's why religion is kind of perceived as that.
Okay. And the positive aspect?
The positive, like what people could do to like change that. I think that perhaps if it was like more integrated into like younger society, so maybe like more kind of youth groups kind of focused on religion. So like Casey saw this, for example. I think because that way like you can interact with each other like of similar ages and stuff, and still kind of follow the essence of it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. This side, this group. Go ahead. Yes.
our idea was that people don't believe in religion because you can't literally see God in it. If you can't see it, then it doesn't exist.
Okay.
And then we said that by giving people a better understanding of what religion is actually about. So get the idea that, for instance, like when they say like you can't see God, like for example, love and emotion, you can't physically see it, but you feel the symptoms. Similarly, that's the same with God, like you feel the symptoms and effects.
Okay, good. That's a good explanation. This group.
Our negative was that people believe that religion is boring and they're taught in school, but it's not taken important, whereas science is made as more important.
Okay. Solution.
And our positive was to show its importance and integrate it more as a group.
Okay, good. What we'll do, I'm going to go back and forth. What we're going to do is when we come to a group, just because I'm conscious of the timing, what I'm going to ask one group to share what they feel is a negative in terms of how religion is perceived, then a different group to share a solution. Yeah, like that. So we'll go that way. So a negative.
There are two rules and regulations.
Okay, that's a big perception. A positive.
Positive, basically, I think each religion should have each understanding of each other's views and similarities like God. For example, from what I've seen is if you observe each religion, right, each religion has a place in your life at the end of the day in terms of travel. If you look at Hinduism, it's not the demon, it's not the Christianity, it's not the candle and the fake cheese. You got the Islam, it's not to affect the sun when they're doing what they want. And some people don't see that, those similarities.
Okay, that's a good point. So what you're saying is that you'd emphasize the similarities
Yeah.
And people can, and so you'd also emphasize how different groups can appreciate the similarities in other groups as well.
And emphasize
Yeah,
the values you have.
that's good.
And
That's
the way
good.
they do it, it's just a symbol to
Yeah.
show a different way of doing it.
Okay, so the idea, that's good. The idea is to basically emphasize the similarities of the day in different traditions. Good. Another problem.
Okay, is that people see it as like brainwashed. You're made to do something that you don't want to do,
Okay.
but at the same time you're made to think that you actually like doing what you do.
Okay. Solution for your group.
This group.
Yes.
That the same way that like Shulavova came to the west from the east, so I get them mixed up, I should know that. And like tried to lead by example like that, and how he managed to go to like cool people like the Beatles at that time, who then spread it to other people. Saying like now we should kind of like aim for all the celebs and trendsetters, as they are known as, kind of take on religion and then it will filter down to us.
Okay, that's good.
And like Tom Cruise done with Scientology.
Sorry?
Like Tom Cruise done with
Scientology. Okay, no worries. I'm gonna have to be a little quicker because time, only a few minutes, I want to give a few more points. This group, problem.
That it causes so much conflict between people. Like, say Hindu and Muslim, like, because there's so much conflict going on in their own countries, they won't talk, and that can cause so many problems.
Okay. Is there any other group which hasn't been spoken on this side? Yes or no? No? Okay, so on this side, which groups haven't spoken? Raise your hands. Okay, a solution.
Try before you buy it, so those people are like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
They let it try for a period of time and then we'll find out we're doing that.
That's good, that's good. We'll come back to that. Someone else, any other groups who haven't spoken on this on the men's side? Problem.
When you think of religion, you think of constraints, things that restrict you.
Yes.
And people don't really like to be restricted in society, they want to do things. So when they have activities that are unpious as such, then they think you can't really do those activities while you're doing religion as well. So it's one or the other. So
Okay.
that should be there.
Okay, so restricted. Any other groups who haven't spoken on this side? Solution.
Today, a lot of the emphasis is on conflict, and it would be better to look at what benefit it gives us to people. Through religion, you're able to understand how to treat other people. You have a moral education, and you understand how you have to conduct yourself as an individual. And so I think that's something you should emphasize.
That's good. Now, everything you shared is very, very powerful. And many of the things that are being done. The truth of the matter is people's idea of religion is completely wrong in most cases. Right? And that includes religious people. Right? Because religion actually, according to the Vedic understanding, is simply a description of the nature of reality. Right? When we talk about the term Veda or Vedic knowledge, Veda actually means knowledge. One of the reasons why I came to Krishna consciousness is because when I tried it, I saw it work, which is the point that was being made at the back. And I saw a YouTube video recently called talking about evidence-based religion. Because religion is actually not a belief system. Right? And I repeat that. It has nothing whatsoever to do with belief. It's a misconception that people have pushed through the media and through education, but religion is actually understanding how things work and living in that way that you can get the best result in every situation. Okay? So we're going to give you a model which relates to that, and this is something that you can take away and use as well. So before we come to that, actually, I talked about being an entrepreneur. I said the essence of being an entrepreneur is that we have a problem, or people have problems, and if you can solve a person's problem, you can become amazingly successful. Do you see the point? Behind any kind of situation where there's someone entrepreneurial, all they've done is look for the problems that people have in society and have created a solution for those people, and if the solution works, people are ready to pay millions of pounds, millions of dollars because you solved their particular problem. Therefore, actually speaking, the greatest entrepreneur is Krishna consciousness, or is God. Because the process of Krishna consciousness solves every single type of problem. Okay? As long as we have a body, you may be wealthy, you may be a billionaire, but you're still growing old. You're still going to have disease. You're still aging. You still have to take birth, and you're still going to die. Does that make sense? So in one sense, the greatest entrepreneur is Krishna. But we want to give you one or two models that you can use even practically. Okay. In the scriptures, they talk about 3 levels. So when you want to be successful in life, always try and remember these 3 things. The first level is called Brahman. That means the energy, the way that everything works. So whatever you want to do, you need to understand how it works. Right? Most people think that there are laws just to do the physical world, right? Like gravity. You've heard of gravity, right? Hopefully. Okay. Or so many other laws. But there are actually subtle laws. Right? There are laws about relationship. There are laws of leadership. Because these things were actually invented in the spiritual world by Krishna. And therefore the way it works is actually also given in the Vedic scriptures. Has anyone ever heard of someone called Henry Kissinger? Yes or no? Anyone heard of him? He was one of the American presidents. And they asked him, how is it that you're so good at politics? And he said, I learned about politics from the Mahabharata. That's what he said. He said, that's how I learned to be a good politician. I read the Mahabharata and I learned all the principles of how to be a great politician from that scripture. Right? So that's actually how it's working. Krishna invents these things because they exist in the spiritual world. Humankind didn't invent families. Humankind did not invent male-female relationships. Humankind did not invent parenting. They go on eternally in the spiritual world. So the way that it works there, the laws that they use there, they also work in the same way here. If you learn it, you'll be incredibly successful. That's a principle. The second stage is called Paramatma. Paramatma means your position. It's one thing to know how something works, but you need to know, should you be doing it? Does that make sense? You may know in theory how to make money, but if you're not into business, then you won't be so successful because you won't have the drive to make that money. Does that make sense? I'll give you an example. I have a friend from America called Prema Chaitanya, right? And we were speaking, he said, he said to me, I'll tell you what real business people are like. Well, a real entrepreneur is like, how they really think. He said that when September the 11th happened, his friend, who's a businessman by nature, they always think about money, right? He said that when his friend saw the Twin Towers fall down, his friend immediately bought 1 million American flags, right? He went and bought 1 million American flags. He got a loan, he bought 1 million American flags, and what he did is he sold them to American people because he knew when these Twin Towers fell down, the whole country is going to be into that whole kind of nationalistic, we're American, we're going to stand together against the terrorists. He became a millionaire overnight. That's a businessman. You understand how it works? Think about that. That's a businessman. They look at everything, they're just thinking, how am I going to make money in this situation? Right? So if any of you are wondering if you're natural businessmen, that's the psychology. Right? A natural leader comes in and wants to start managing and controlling things. A natural teacher is always trying to learn. They want to understand everything. Right? So if you know what your nature is, you can use that to become incredibly successful. That's the second level, Paramatma. And the third level is Bhagavan. That means whatever you do, you should do it for God. Because if you do it for God, you get eternal spiritual benefit. If you do it for yourself, then even if you're successful in your next life, you may not even take birth as a human being. The vast majority of people on the planet, human beings on this planet, in their next life, they won't even be human. Right? Because by leading a life which is all about just eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, they won't get a human body in their next life. Okay? Last thing before we end, because I'm over time, so I'm going to add this last point. I want to introduce you to the cycle. This is how you become successful in anything. Right? This is how you become successful in absolutely anything. The first thing is, don't try and work it out by yourself. Learn from authority. Authority means the Vedas. If God owns everything and made everything, He can teach you how it works. Right? First step is learn from authority. Second step is you should think about what you've learned. You can't blindly accept anything. right? If you think about how does that work? How do I apply that in my everyday life? That's the second stage. The third stage is you need to practice it, okay? What you've learned, you need to use it in the real world. When you practice it, you're going to start seeing the effects of your practice. Right? Anyone here learn martial arts? Anyone? Okay, a few martial arts in the room. Okay, so when you're learning martial arts, you're practicing and you're seeing if you can do that kick, if you can do that kind of block, etc. And as you practice and you look at how you're doing, you can see where you need to improve and where you're expert. That gives you feedback, and then you learn from that, and you become even more expert. So that's observation, feedback, and you reapply. And as you keep practicing, you ultimately become expert. That's the way to become absolutely successful in anything that you want to do. Now, you may think, I've seen people who didn't learn anything, they were successful. But no one is successful in potential if they don't follow this process. Right? Because by observation and by luck, you may catch one or two of the key points that make you successful in any area. But unless you get it from authority, you won't understand all the principles that make you successful in that particular area. Okay? So we want you to be successful in everything, but especially we want you to be someone who's not just another face in the crowd. Ultimately, every single one of us are individuals, and if you use the Vedic knowledge, which is evidence-based, it's not an opinion, right? Actually, opinions do not matter, because anyone who follows this process can experience Krishna directly. That's the real point. I didn't join this religion or this spiritual process, let's say, because I believed in God. Right? When I first came to the temple, I didn't want my friends to see me. I'll just be really honest. I used to kind of like go around the back way just in case people, just in case anyone's looking like that. I came to this process because I had certain spiritual experiences from day one which made it very clear to me that this works. Right? This process of Krishna consciousness, if it's done properly, you will have spiritual experiences, spiritual realizations that make it 100% clear to you that God, Krishna, is real, He exists, and He's there. And if you follow it properly, not speculate. People can speculate till the cows come home. I have this idea, you have that idea. But if you follow it properly, you will experience intense, and I mean intense, happiness. Okay? So we want to end on this point. Every one of us are unique. Try it in your life to do things which are in line with your personality. Try and understand or learn from authority how that's done. The things that you're interested in, learn from someone who's expert in that, and ultimately learn from the Vedic literatures or Vedic teachings how to do that properly, and you're guaranteed that your success will be the maximum success that you can have materially or even spiritually. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Hare Krishna.